to the host poison plant for the Acria butterfly is Wolfaria indica. So we're going to keep meandering through here. We are going to start making our way back towards camp, but if we do find anything interesting, we will definitely show it to you. But let's go see how HT is doing.
Well, we're doing just fine here. We haven't had a lot of action, but we do have a lot of cuteness in the frame right now. And this little cub is been yawning and looking up, looking incredibly intently at us, but not in a concerning way whatsoever, just fascinated. But it is such a young age when they get conditioned to and habituated to us. It's fantastic for us because the little cubs won't get scared either. They'll learn that all the vehicles are not to be feared, and it does give us the opportunity to have these incredible sightings and these incredible encounters at close quarters with these magnificent creatures. So that's what it's all about. It's all about gently just conditioning and habituating the animals to the vehicles so we can show you these beautiful pictures and have you on safari with us. Look at that. Stretching. They're very, very cool. A little bit of cleaning. They're truly social, these cats. Lions are just the social cat. The dynamics, as we've talked mostly about tonight, is incredible. Today, sorry. And constantly changing, constantly showing human beings that there's differentiation to every single, there'll be common traits that occur, but there's always going to be exceptions to rules through lots of different factors. But it's just great to be, and it's great to learn about them every day. I think that one of the great things about Safari Live is a long historical documentation of this as well, which is just beautiful. I've got a question from Joanne. Fantastic to have you with us, Joanne. We just watched this little guy walk off. He's just so beautiful. Joanne, I'm coming to your question. We're just going to see what he's up to. I'm just taking a couple of little cheeky snaps here whilst I've had a bush right in front of me all that time. He's just walking through to play with his brothers and sisters. A little bit of wrestling. Hugely important for young cubs growing up. Learning all the skills and, as we talked about before, strengthening themselves. We might have another one walking through right now. Joanne, I'm definitely coming to your question. I'm just trying to keep a visual on these cubs. No, he just plonked down. There we go. So Joanne, your question was, do we have these sorts of drives and activities in Australia similar to this, national parks and drives like this? We absolutely do. We have beautiful, magnificent national parks throughout Australia, and we have lots and lots of drives and tourism there. We don't have big carnivore predators like this, so it's a lot of places do a lot of walks, but you do cover vast distances. So drives through beautiful national parks are very, very common, as are walks. You do have to be very careful. We might not have carnivores this big in Australia, but I tell you what, we do have everything else that's small, reptilian, arachnid, octopus, or crocodilian. They've got a very, very sharp end, a lot of them. We've got some very, very toxic snakes. We've got some venomous snakes, sorry. We've got some very venomous, we've got a venomous octopus, a lot of spiders that are venomous, and of course the magnificent saltwater crocodile. So look, we've got an incredible array of things out there you have to be very careful of, but at the same time you would do exactly the same as you do in Africa. You go out with someone that you trust, someone that has respect for the environment and the habitats, and to show you that wildlife without encroaching on that wildlife and changing its behaviour. And yeah, it's a beautiful place, so if ever you get a chance to go there, I highly recommend it, and it'd be great to hear if you do. Thanks so much for your question, Joe, and great to have you on board. So we do feel like we're peering through the undergrowth at these beautiful creatures, but whilst we're staying here, I really wanted to sit around until we've been here for long enough that I do think we deserve to see them start to yawn and stretch and greet, because it's just a beautiful, beautiful process. So we're going to cross to James, and he has something rather beautiful as well. We'll see you just now.
It is an elephant's bottom that Hayden was referring to, everybody. We do have something rather beautiful. It did turn to face us, young elephant bull. I'm sure that the rest of the herd is in this bush somewhere around here. But there you can see him feeding away, as is the thing that he has to do all the time. Ooh, brilliant. Breaking sticks. Very good to see. Isn't that lovely? That foot is amazing. I'm just going to move a little bit forward so you can get a better view of it. Is that okay, Brian? Ooh. Brock, very nice question from you about whether or not elephants dig for salt. Brock, they don't dig for salt, no, but they will eat soil, salty soil, and they'll find that in what we call sodic areas. So I don't know how long you've been watching, Brock, or if you've come to Cheetah Plains with us before, but at Cheetah Plains you find what we call sodic areas, and it's an area of very high sodium, and they will certainly use those areas to engage in what we call geophagia, which is the eating of soil. But no, there aren't any kind of known salt deposits. Digging for salt? I don't think so, Brock. I don't think that they would dig necessarily for subterranean salt, no. Just listen, I can't believe how quiet this afternoon has been. There's been very little bird song at all. Just the breathing and the blowing of the dust by his trunk, and then that amazing sound of him scraping there. Hello, big fella. He's just sticking his ears out at us, coming to say hello. Well, I don't know that he wants to say hello, Brian. What do you think he's trying to say to us? Hello?
Hello, hello. Hello, Ellie.
Brian greeting the elephant, everybody. It's a friendly fellow, our Brian.
If you don't speak to the animals, they'll never speak to you.
Well, that is true, Brian. Yes, I suppose. I think, maybe. This is rather splendid. Oh, really? Why he wants to do that? That's not very nice of him. I think he's just... All that was, everybody, is a demonstration to show how big and strong he is. And now he's wandering off. So I think he probably thought about actually pushing it over completely and then decided no, he didn't think that was a good idea. Possibly because he thought it was a bit strong, he might sort of destroy himself. Okay, we're going to go back across to the lion cubs because they are now grooming like all good young children should.
So we haven't really had much change here, except the cubs have moved away from the position they were in, and that's fine. They've just gone over to have a little drink. I'm just trying to get a better location for Gendre to get a shot, but just through there you can just make out, can you? I think if you go to the left a little bit, Gendre, just there's a cub there, but if you go along to the left you might get one of the females lying with their face down. It's so tricky through there. There's just a little cub there. You can see the female's paws, and just to the left you can see, just at the left of frame there, the female's face. Very tricky to see, folks. We are right behind some vegetation, and it's the best we can do at the moment, and I would not push it any further because I don't want to disturb them. They're absolutely fine with us being here, but I hope to get better visuals for you with Gendre as they become more active this afternoon. So you can see she's just rolled over. Legs up in the air, and I think the so we're still here, we've still got them visual, but I think Mr. Leo Smith has got something incredible as well, and it might be rather big. Let's go and see what Brent's up to.
So it's not often we get to approach a breeding herd on foot in perfect conditions. And we've got a nice steep bank, the elephants on the other side, so they caused us to come out of the drainage line because we could hear them, and the wind is coming into my face, so they're not going to smell us, so we can just have a quick look at them. You can see that one looks like a young bull closest to us. Probably, I'm not sure how many. I've seen about 4 or 5 different individuals. But when we're walking up to breeding herds of elephants, this is what you want. You want wind into your face. You want a nice steep drainage line. They're on the other side. They're completely unaware of our presence. A lot of people think elephants have bad eyesight. They don't. They have pretty good eyesight, but they definitely rely on their hearing and their smell far more. But we're going to move. Big rumbles there. We're going to move out of this area because they are feeding towards here and we don't want to disturb them, so we're going to keep walking. And we were planning to go through here, but we're going to have to go a bit further wide. They're still quite far there. Hi, Debbie. Debbie's in Vancouver. And Debbie's wondering about the clouds in the sky. Says, are those cirrus clouds up ahead? If I remember my cloud studying correctly, Debbie, I think these are even ultra cirrus. So those are just little icicles up there. And Debbie said, are we expecting a weather change because of those clouds? I don't think so, Debbie. It's just been quite chilly for the last couple of days. I mean, those are thousands of feet up in the air. But I don't think we can be expecting a weather change from them. No, sorry, not ultra cirrus. It's stratus. Oh, I'm going to have to go brush up on my clouds, Debbie, to see what is the highest. I'm trying to remember. It's stratus. I think they're stratus, Debbie, not cirrus, sorry. Stratus right at the edge of the stratosphere. Okay, we just want to double check carefully through here. Now we're going down where the road crosses the drainage line. The elephants were still quite far away. But with these things, it's always better to err slightly on the side of caution. I said a lot of the animals during the drought, especially your big herbivores, are under a lot of pressure. So you don't want to add any extra pressure. They could be a little bit more temperamental, especially on foot. There you go, you can see that's the little drainage system that they are feeding through. And we're just going to go around, make sure we don't disturb them. Okay, so we're going to leave these elephants now and try to find a nice safe passage through back towards the area we want to go. And while we do that, let's go back to HT and those glorious little Nkuhuma cubs.
Delectable is a fantastic word. They're so funny and they're so wonderful to watch. They're all becoming quite active and wrestling with each other. I love how these beautiful creatures, they'll find anything in their environment to play with. It'll be just a stick or an I don't know, an elephant dropping anything. I saw one of Karula's cubs the other day push an elephant bolus over the edge of a little hill, and then it rolled down, and I think it was Hasana, and he chased it down and then tackled it, you know. And it's great to see the play, because it ends up becoming a very, very important developmental stage of their life, where they learn how to hone their skills in hunting and survival. And little one stalking up to his brother or sister there. They don't chew anything, they just exploring their world is what it's all about. Now the 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I can see at the moment. There's one coming, oh, it's just sat right there. There's just this little bit of vegetation in between us, so we're hoping that they'll come over this way and see how they go. Really beautiful. The light's becoming magnificent too for these images that we're bringing to you. They just backlit a little bit at the moment, but the females are still flat out. The males are still flat out. It's only the cubs that are awake. At one little one right through there, Gendre playing with Mum at the moment, standing on Mum's head. It's very difficult to see, but oh, it's so tricky, so tricky for Gendre. I do apologise for not having you in a better position, but it's impossible to get any closer, and we don't want to go any closer and disturb this lovely afternoon that they're having on the side of a termite mound. Mum has just woken up because her cub is chewing on her ear, which I suppose would wake you up. Just waiting to see if these youngsters move over this way towards the male. But if you've got any questions or comments, that'd be great. Monty's got a question about how long will it be before the males move off or get pushed away from the pride. Well, they'll be tolerated up to a point, and they'll probably get pushed away when they're adolescents. They'll move away and they'll be ousted from. As soon as they start to show any interest in a female, they will definitely be pushed away. It really does depend on the situation, and particularly with the coalition and these males, it depends on what changes in that dynamic as well. But so many different dynamics happen, as I said. So when they go through their adolescent stages or years, they'll start to get they'll get one slap from the male, and they'll basically get told there might be a bit of a scuffle, and they would rather not have that interaction and risk injury, and then they'll get the word from the males to move out of the pride. They normally, so let's talk about adolescence. What does that mean? I suppose 2.5 years they'll be pushed out of the pride, the males. So great question, Monty, and we've got a ways to go before that happens with these little ones that are about between 2 months and 3 months old. So it will be a matter of survival, really. That's the most important thing for these little cubs now. But I tell you what, they've got a force behind them, these two Birmingham males, and 1, 2, 3. We got 4 adult females here. Jandre, can you see?
Yeah,
4. So it's about 5 to 5 here in South Africa. The sun is definitely heading down over the horizon. Slowly, slowly. It's got about half an hour, a little bit longer to go. And we'll start to get the pride waking up in the next 20 to 30 minutes. But there isn't a lot of action happening at the moment, folks, I have to say. There's a lot of sleeping going on. So if you've got any more questions or comments, it'd be great to hear from you. Anything that you can teach me about these Nkuhumas and the Birminghams, I'd love to know. Any sort of interesting facts, if you can tweet us at #SafariLive, or you can email us at WildEarthTV, questions at WildEarthTV, sorry. It's always great to pick up little bits of information from Safari Live followers that watch a lot of this religiously, much more than I get a chance to do, and it's always great to pick up little bits of knowledge from you all out there. Not sure if you can hear that little noise, but there's two offspring suckling from their mum, pushing each other. They've both got access to milk, but one's pushing the other one way and the other one's pushing the other way. It's like, that's my side, that's my side. It's very tricky to hear. So, I think we're going to stay put. We're just in a really nice position here, folks, if that's okay. I do want to see them wake up and start to interact and that beautiful social activity that occurs. It would be really great if we get a chance to do that before the sun goes down. So we are going to cross over to James and see what he's up to. We'll be back with you just now.
I think much better than seeing me, everybody. Let's look at this amazing elephant, young bull. You've been enjoying him for some time now. He's just great fun. He's got a couple of other sort of colleagues around the place, but he's pretty much on his own here. And I think he's, I mean, I hate to say that, well, I don't hate to say it, but I'm not sure if I'm correct in saying that. I think he's quite enjoying just having a bit of company, to be honest. That's what it looks like. He could have moved off, but he's kind of been feeding on the trees just around us. There's a drongo there, flying in and around his feet. As I say that, he moves off, of course. Let's see if we can move along next to him. I cannot believe how quiet this afternoon is. There's no sound. No birdies calling. There are a couple of grey go-away birds now. Brent is still out on bushwalk, so let's quickly go across to him and let him say goodbye to you, I think, for this time round.
So, one of the most dangerous things on quarantine, especially when we were doing our Bush Olympics, is the large devil fawn. Now this was our Olympic stadium today, and when one runs barefoot through here, one has to be very careful for such creatures as this. Now that is the seed of a large devil thorn. It's incredibly designed. Now, if you ever see an impala or a kudu limping, what happens is that, well, it's very difficult to do, but there we go, there's the two things. As they walk, it's designed to stick in between their hooves like this. And see how it creates a sort of flat surface, but you can't, you can see how uncomfortable they are when it is in there. And that's how they disperse their seeds. So this is dispersed by buffalo, kudu, impala, and nyala if they happen to stand on these seeds. My personal favorite for them is to put them on people's chairs when they're not looking. Same principle as a drawing pin. So we've been surrounded by elephants in all areas. So we're trying to make our way back towards camp, but while we're out on quarantine, I'm feeling good, feeling a bit safe. So let's go out. Let's see what we can see. Now I'm just trying to make sure. Oh, there's lots of them here. Now, he's got quite a cool little hole here with sets of tracks. Now, normally, one would find quite a lot of grass seeds and stuff outside a hole like this, but there's very few. There's one little fluff ball of a seed there. There's very few seeds. Normally, there'd be a pile of seeds outside the front here. And I can see the little tracks. Now, this is the home of a bushveld gerbil. So, a little, not so much as a rat or a mouse, but somewhere in between. And doing some housekeeping. Normally when they do housekeeping, you'll find lots and lots of little grass seeds, but obviously there are not that many grass seeds left for them to eat at the moment. And then I had a question there, just missed it, sorry, but about what was my most memorable bushwalk, and that was from Zoe. Oh, Zoe, I've had such fantastic times in the bush. We'll do a before safari live bushwalk. I think one of my most fond bushwalks was in northern Botswana with my dad. And there's an incredible area up on the Kwando River there. We've got these massive African ebonies that have fallen down. So basically we climbed up into one of them and it sort of fell out of the bank, but it hadn't quite fallen all the way over. And about 3,000 buffalo came and drank. We had buffalo drinking underneath us, and we just had to sit there and wait till they finished. They had no idea we were less than 5 feet above their heads. That was a very special bushwalk. A Safari Live special bushwalk. Let's think. Had some really wonderful ones with some big Ellie bulls, not too far from here actually. And those have been incredible. Always love spending time with Ellie bulls on foot. And then, actually another very memorable bushwalk was with my little brother. And it happened not that long ago. He is now a safari guide as well, but he wasn't sure what he wanted to do at that time. And I took him tracking lions at home. And we got charged by a big male lion. And he stopped at about 7 or 8 feet from us. And that was very memorable, and all, more so because it was the first male lion charge my brother had ever faced, and I like to think it was one of the things that put him on the leaving the world of accounting and coming into the bush to be a safari guide. Okay, we can see all the elephants are behind us, but we can hear some more elephants over there. So I think we're actually going to try and make it up through the middle of quarantine before we get engulfed in elephants. So we're probably not going to see you again on the sunset safari, but have a great time with Hayden and James. And speaking of James, let's go see what he's up to.
James, everybody, is trying desperately to get some sort of artistic photograph of the elephant and the sun, and failing. Brian, how are you doing, Brian? Yeah. Not sure I'm winning on that score. Anyway, it's very difficult. I'll tell you why, everyone, if you're vaguely interested in photographs. It's difficult because your eye is very much more clever than any lens that's ever been designed. Your eye is able to expose for two different lightings. So if you look at the sky there, it's much lighter. If you look at the ground, it's much darker. Now, if you're looking at that with your naked eye, your brain is so clever that it immediately adjusts so that nothing is silhouetted. You can see it perfectly, unless you're looking directly into the light. No camera lens is able to do that yet. See how it changes as you come onto the darker stuff. Anyway, Gracie, I think you have made a very, very clever comment, as always. You say you love how all the little baby animals out here find their own toys to play with. They don't have to go to the store. You're absolutely right, they don't. And they do play. You've seen them playing with sticks. They play with elephant dung sometimes. They play with all sorts of things that they can find. And it's a very, very astute or clever comment. Let's go a little bit around here. I'm so enjoying spending a bit of time with these young bulls. Hello, Tasha Michelle. You're wondering about sunscreen. That's an interesting discussion that I had with Rebecca yesterday. Well, actually, Rebecca just told me. She said sunscreen ain't so good for you, and you want to know if these elephants need sunscreen in the winter, and I was just saying that I didn't need it in the winter at all. We spend a bit of time outside during the middle of the day, and you just don't burn because of the angle of the sun. So your question is about whether or not these elephants will cover themselves in mud during the course of the winter. They do a little bit. We had a nice sighting on a quite warm day of elephants covered in mud, but they don't have to. And I think one of the reasons that they don't, apart from the fact that they don't burn, I mean, they wouldn't burn anywhere really, but one of the reasons is there's not much mud around, you know. There's very little, other than in one or two of the pumped pans. But even, I mean, they could go to Bushwalk Dam, they could go to Treehouse Dam and Twin Dams and find some mud and throw it on themselves, but no, they don't seem to be doing much of that. It's an interesting one. I think possibly because A, it's not so warm, and B, yeah, maybe that angle of the sun, which means that your skin doesn't burn in these conditions, means that they don't need to. Now, Gail, I'm just going to sneak forward while we answer this question, not because it's relevant. Oh, no, you've got a very artistic shot. Let's stay here, Brian. You want to know how much water, Gail, animals are able to derive from their food. And Gail, the answer very much depends on the animal you're asking about. So kudu, for example, is almost entirely water independent, same as a steenbok. They've got specialized kidneys, and they can derive as much water as they need from the foliage that they eat. Now that brings with it, of course, risks. The risks are that you have to have a special kind of digestive system, and therefore it's quite expensive to maintain, and you've got to be quite selective over what you eat. Then animals like elephants get almost no moisture from their food. They get rid of a lot of moisture in the dung and in the urine, and they must drink. Normally once, sometimes twice a day. Buffalo, the same sort of story. So it really does depend on the animal before you can know exactly how much they're able to use their food for water. Let's just sneak forward. Another nice elephant there. Tasha Michelle, you have asked $1 million question. When do we expect rain? Well, Tasha, their predictions are, and certainly the landowners taken them very seriously, that there will be a flood year, probably beginning around late October, early November. Now, I take all of these predictions, as does everybody serious, with a bit of pinch of salt, and I'm sure Yuri, who's the landowner, does as well. So there is an expectation that this is going to be a very wet year. We would expect the rain to come probably in late October. We might get the odd downpour in sort of September time. That's quite possible. But it probably won't be too much until then. Listen how quiet it is. Not a bird singing. And the light is just starting to sort of soften now. It's taken a long time. It was really bright when we went out earlier. Beautiful. This one's even younger than the other one. Had a nice question from you about whether or not elephants see in colour. And I don't think they do. I think they see they probably don't have great colour vision, in the same way that most of the herbivores out here don't have great colour vision. But you say you're wondering because they always seem to know which leaves are green. Remember, a colourblind doesn't necessarily mean you see in black and white. I mean, I think Brian, you were saying it's red and green are the shades, the two shades that they see.
Greens and blues.
Greens and blues, sorry. Greens and blues, which will make red very difficult to see, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, there are different shades of those, and while I'm sure they do use their sight, and they can see the difference between a brown leaf and a red leaf, at least a green leaf, I think it's largely done by feel and smell. Their sense of smell is so much more sharp than ours, so much sharper than ours, that I think you'll find that they largely find those green leaves by a sense of smell. That's quite a nice shot of him doing that, isn't it? Yes. There now. You hear those birds' alarm calling? It's quite interesting. I wonder if there isn't a predator in sight somewhere. Karula, like I say, is on Little Gari at the moment. But, of course, we don't need to wait for Karula because Hayden has his own predators to go and see.
Ah, at last. We were patient, folks. We were patient. And look at this beautiful intimacy here. It's a bit hard to see, but I think this male is going to be overcome by some fierce predators in a minute. This little cub stalked his potential dad there. Please excuse me clicking away, folks, but it's just been waiting for these guys to interact, and he's just put his head up, one of the males, and the little cub has just come over, so there might be another one coming over in a second. You can see the immense mane on this beautiful boy now. And we were talking about manes before. You know, not all, I think there's records of not all male lions having manes. Look at this little guy stalking as well. That's very nice. So you can see Dad is starting to yawn. He's going to get, he's in trouble. He's got two of these guys now. Beautiful. Pulling on Dad's mane. And he's just handling it. He's like, that's enough, guys. Really beautiful to watch, folks. They've plucked up the courage to come up. And I think we might have a couple of the other cubs come over as well. The females have just started to get up, and this is what we said would happen. You start to get a little bit of interaction. Cubs have come up and woken up Dad. The females are all over on the left now, starting to stir, standing up, yawning while they're laying on their backs. That beautiful male's mane in that sunlight is just fantastic. Last rays of sunshine of the afternoon. The females have just all gotten up. It's very interesting. All gotten up and all walked off. And they've walked off around the other side of that termite man. You can just see them walking down there now. And we will see if the males follow. Lots of yawning going on, lots of cubs. So I think there's a couple of cubs just walking through there now, Gendre, to the left. And I think those ones are the younger ones by the looks of things, to me. I'm not sure from here, it's a bit of a broken visual for me. But these three cubs have chosen to stick with potentially who's Dad. And this little one is stalking his brother. Practicing that stalking behaviour. Get down low. Just that natural instinct is beautiful to watch. So it's very hard for Gendre to see from where, like I can just see around the corner of the termite mound. We cannot move any further forward, of course, and the females are all just sitting around the other side of the termite mound, very alert. I can see the black backs of their ears. And keen. This is the time of the night that they would take advantage of any situation that presented itself, and the other male is coming through now. Now this will be a beautiful thing to watch, because both of these males should greet each other as well. There'll be a lot of head rubbing and mane rubbing and some beautiful social behaviour that we'll see between these two potentially brothers. You'd never know unless you check their DNA, but they are potentially brothers from way back. He's looking directly over where the females are, and I'm just trying to focus on this. We've got a question from Kimberly in Florida, and Kimberly, welcome aboard. You're a first-time viewer, which is fantastic to have you on board. Kimberly, I'm going to come to your question immediately after this. Oh no, I thought a male was just about to approach. I'll just get out of the way for Gendre there, but that male was just about to approach his brother, so I thought they were going to do that social interaction. So your question is, do the youngsters, the little cubs, eat worms? I'm sure if they came across it, a little worm, for some reason, they may chow it. They may chow down on it, but I am also, I can't say that I've ever seen one. But fantastic to have you on board, and these females could potentially hunt tonight, so you never know what could happen on Safari Live tomorrow morning. There's a potential that these animals might be on a kill, and we'll certainly make sure we keep our eyes peeled on that one. But at the moment we've got 2 of the Birmingham males here with us, 5 cubs and 4 females. So I'm not sure where the other cubs are, because there's supposed to be 8 cubs as far as I'm aware. The females are coming back up now, so that's nice. There could be some beautiful interaction between the females and the males as well. There's one female just about to walk back up through. So I just got a message from Final Control. Can you just repeat that, please, Bex? Okay, I'm not sure who's got this. I've just got a bit of a break up in my signal here, folks, but we have something really, really special to cut to. So let's just cross over and we'll come back right now.
Now that elephant, everybody, is going down a slope. It's another elephant, obviously. It's not the same one. It's a tiny little thing. He's inelegantly going down where Karula and the 2 little ones had a Nyala kill about, what, Brian, about 3 months ago, maybe? Yeah, no, not that much. Maybe 2 months ago. And I've named this particular area after the ranger who was driving his guest. I shall not mention where he was from or... Oh. Kudu alarm call. But anyway, where that elephant's just gone, this guy said to me, I was parked down the other side, he said, do you think I should come around, or do you think we can just go over the top? So I replied to him, we're going to move quite quickly, there's a kudu alarm calling. I replied to him, well, if you come over the top, it will certainly be the very last thing that you ever do in that Land Cruiser. And I thought I was very funny, and so did Brian. There's a kudu alarm calling there while we race around the corner to see if we can find what's there. Let's go and see the lions again with Hayden.
So there's lots of things happening here. The females have come back from around the corner. They may have just gone around to look for something, or they're lying back down now. They all might have just gone, who knows what it was for. It was out of our vision, but there's definitely a few of them awake. They might not be lying, it's definitely not lying back down to go to sleep, but they might be lying down to suckle the cubs or something. But there's a lot of lovely sort of interaction going on, and a lot of yawning. But I do want you to see them come up to the male as well, because there's some beautiful, very tender social interaction that happens. There must be another one just over there behind us. I'm just listening to other vehicles. Just got a comment from Susan. A group of cubs should be a cuddle of cubs. Yeah, they are pretty cute, aren't they? But definitely a great name for them, Susan. But yeah, they're very, very cool creatures. And I think, by the looks of things, seems to be another vehicle over the other side that may be looking at another male. So maybe there's 3 males here, one that we didn't know about. The vegetation is incredibly thick through here, folks, so I do declare it's a bit difficult to see how many lions were actually in our midst. Lots of little play activity going on over the other side there, and the group, the pride becoming a little bit more active. Sun has just gone down. We don't have any more sunshine on us whatsoever. So it is at this time where the pride becomes active, starts to stretch, a lot of grooming, a lot of social activity, and then one of the females will just make the decision to go, and off they'll go. Here comes the male now. This is really what we wanted to see, folks. This is what we wanted to see. Let's watch what happens here with these 2 boys. They'll greet each other, I hope, or maybe not. Maybe there was a bit of a scrap between them this morning. So he might turn his head back to us, and a little wound on the nose there, and that may have been the scuffle this morning. We may see a little reconciliation, who knows. Maybe not. So Jamie was with them this morning. Here comes one of the females to a little bit of a limp on this boy. So that was definitely the 2 that, wow. So that just confirmed. Just this one's got a real limp in front of us. So we had a question before about whether there was any injuries from this morning, and if you can see this individual right in front of us, definitely so. Very lame on his front left. Very lame. So isn't that interesting? These boys we've seen before come up and greet each other and do incredible head rubbing and that really beautiful, tender care, but they're obviously the two that had the scrap this morning, so they haven't reconciled the situation by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know if I got my head in the way there. Can you get through to see? There's a very difficult to see right behind there. There's the other male, so not the best of friends at this minute. It could have gone either way, but it's probably something that was a little obvious, the way it had the distance. It's not always that obvious, but the distance that he was lying away. But he did try and come in there. But that's not great to see. This individual in front of us here, he's got a very, very bad... there's no visual signs to his... I can't see a wound or anything. I'm just going to have a look through my binoculars to see if I can see anything. It does look a little bit swollen. Oh yeah, I can see a little puncture just on his left front. If you just go to his left front and get that right in the middle of the screen there, Jean-Dre, there's a little sort of spot about maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 inches up his leg there. Looks like a little puncture wound there.
Okay, we found the kudu, everybody. They're just behind us. They were looking up sort of towards where we were, so we drove around there. We didn't find anything. Jamie said she had some lion tracks around here earlier today. I don't know if a lion stood up somewhere around. We're just going to go a little bit down the road, but there are no tracks of anything in this area. So I think we're going to turn around and go back the way we've come. But if you look to the left of us, if a predator had got up and come across the road here or something like that, it'd be very difficult to sort of see where it had gone because of the thickness of the vegetation there. Put our jerseys on. It's starting to get a little bit nippy, isn't it, Brian?
It is.
Yes, as the sun heads for the western horizon, as it inevitably does. Okay, we're going to move to this turn around here, I think, everyone. Hello, Andrew. You say, where do I think all the birds are, Andrew? Well, I think the birds... I'm just laughing because of that song, which I shall attempt to remember and sing to you. The birdies are all around, they're just not calling. And I don't know why they're not calling. And I mean, if we're quiet now, it might be worthwhile just having a listen anyway because of the kudu alarm call, see if anything else is calling. All I can hear is a dove. A green pigeon going. No Franklin's calling. Nothing like that. Yeah, very, very quiet. It's strange, Andrew. The song, or the rhyme goes, spring has sprung, the grass is whiz, I wonder where the birdies is. The birds is on the wing, but I thought the wing was on the bird.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Brian. At least you liked it. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes. A Twitter applause. Do you think there's some Twitter applause, Brian? I just made up that word. Twitter applause. Yeah. Which, of course, Twitter applause is different from Twitter applause. Debbie from Vancouver. Nice idea from you. You say the clouds up ahead, are they cirrus clouds up in the sky? Some of them, yes. Probably what we'd call cirrostratus. Not quite a wispy mains or wispy mare's mane, but a bit more solid than that. So that's what my guess would be. Does there a weather change, and could that be chasing the birds away? Well, it's certainly possible, Debbie. In Vancouver, that is a possibility. I don't know what these kudus were shouting at. They may have just been having a domestic argument of some sort. One would expect to find a predator's track were it to have been something that terrified the kudu to the point of wanting to shout. But we don't see anything here. There is a steenbok right here. Wait everyone, wait. You will be so amazed when you see where it thinks it is hidden. It may now have moved, of course. Where is it, Brian? I think it's gone. Yes, it has. I'm not really sure what to do. I think we're going to head towards the sunset. It's possible that something walked off towards Treehouse Dam. It could have been Karula. She was to the south. Yeah, but there are no tracks on the road here. I don't know, everyone. I don't know, but we're going to give it a try. And Hayden has managed to find not only the lions today, but also, before us, a sunset.
Well, we just pulled out of the siding just for a little bit to let some other people in that just arrived, and we just pulled back and saw how magnificent this is. My last South African sunset for today, this little journey, and it's not bad, is it? Wow, look at those beautiful clouds, and what beautiful light on those clouds. And we've got the two males that were over there. They definitely had an interaction, but we pulled out just to let another one of the vehicles into that location because it's quite a nice view there, and we might try and find another male because I do think there's 3 males here. But at the moment, that magnificent sky, that quintessentially gorgeous colour and African sunset, it is just beautiful, isn't it? Really fantastic. So we're just standing by at the moment. We're just sitting here letting people have a little bit of time with those animals because there wasn't any pressure before. We were the only vehicle there and there was no other people coming around, but at this time on the way back people knew that there would be more people around, so we're going to let them have it and take over. So the females moved off into the bush, into the sunset, so to speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just pulling back a little bit right here, but we might just wait because Andrew actually, came out to let Andrew in, and he's decided it might have been a bit tight for him. I'm just going to pull back a little bit more. We moved out of a spot that was just down in this really, really dense vegetation here, but we found a little track in, and then we went to let one of the other the vehicles in, but our vehicle is so tiny, and it turns on a 20-cent piece. We could maneuver in and out of the vegetation, whereas the longer extended vehicles, they find it a bit tricky sometimes to get into those really tight spots. Nonetheless, we always offer, it's all about sharing these beautiful encounters with everyone around and all the guests that are on these reserves. It's really important that people have that wow factor, that incredible moment where they've seen either their first line or another line in their life. You never forget. It is being in the presence of that magnificent beast. It is absolutely magic, Sonny. A beautiful sunset, absolutely incredible, gorgeous colours. Gendre is doing beautiful work there, picking out the really charismatic trees, and just all of it adds together. Just please stand by, folks. I just want to let Aubrey know, Orbs, right? Just down in here, you've got two, and then another one just here. Okay, it's a little bit tight, Orbs. It's just right just here and in. Just sharing that sighting with these guys. But I think, folks, you know what? They're moving into the bush, and I think we're going to reverse out of here. We've had a lovely time, even though the visuals were quite difficult. It's still being in the presence of them, and as I said, there was no pressure on us to go. We wouldn't normally stay at a sighting that long, but no one else was coming to join, so we didn't feel like we needed to move. But then I heard on the radio a couple of vehicles wanted to come, so that's why we're moving off. But wasn't that interesting how those two males interacted then? I thought there was a potential that they might have not seen each other for a while and come up and did that beautiful interaction where they rubbed manes together, but they were definitely not happy with each other, and they must have been, I'm pretty sure, I'd say 100% that they were the two that had the scrap this morning with Jamie, but one of them has come off worse for wear. One's got a little nick on his nose, which there's nothing, most lions have lots of scars all over their faces from fighting, but the other one's very, very lame, got a very, very sore left front foot, so I'm sure the team will pick that up tomorrow morning and find out what's gone on there. Right, we're going to just carry on. We've got about 20 minutes left, and I'm going to cross back over to James and see what he's up to. He's sure to have something fantastic. He always does. Incredible man, and wonderful, wonderful person to be around. Learned so much from James. Let's see what he's up to.
Just a silent look at the sunset, everyone. Mainly because Brian said something ridiculous as we came live, and I got the giggles. Isn't that pretty? Brian still has the giggles. It's very still, Brian. I'm surprised it's not shaking up and down. I think it's so lovely. We've given up on whatever it was that made those kudu shout, everyone. We've come back down to the western sector of Djuma, and maybe we'll be lucky with some shadow tracks. Maybe some Sandile tracks. A stick just attacked Brian, everyone. Don't worry, he beat it off fearlessly. Well done, Brian.
Thank you.
And maybe we'll be blessed with some Tingana tracks even. He's who I'd quite like to see today. Sorry, I have to do this again, everyone. I'm unable to drive past this scene. Now, I think Hayden's got his bat detector with him, and I've just seen a bat flying about, so hopefully he'll be able to find it. And I am definitely going to try and get hold of one of those bat detectors. And I'm going to ask Brian to pan slowly to the left. Well done, Brian. That was very intuitive of you. It's like you're psychic. And in the far west, the Drakensberg Mountains bathed in a kind of dirty copper. Wouldn't you say, Brian? And there, the hills of Ulusaba. That's where Richard Branson has his little spot. A full line of these granite koppies, as we call them, or rocky outcrops, that exploded out of some fissure in the ground, leaving a line all the way up to the Sand River. A line of these rocky outcrops many millions of years ago. Before, Brian, you and I were even a twinkle in our mother's eyes. There's the bat, everyone. Brian is now tracking a bat. If you are prone to seasickness, please close your eyes. That's very smooth bat tracking, Brian. The best bat tracking, yes. Yes, indeed. Right, one last look at that unbelievable light. Look at that. Oh, stunning. And on we go. And on we go. It really is quite spectacular. Hello, Angela in Botswana. Thank you very much for your question. I'm just waiting to find out what it was. Angela, you say if a kudu barks, could it be a social dispute? I don't want to say no completely. I'm going to hedge my bets a little bit and say I don't think so. I think it's highly unlikely. That bark is very much an alarm call, and they do that because they want to tell each other and warn each other that there's a predator around. They could have heard something, they could have smelt something, they could have, I don't know, I mean, they could have even smelt us when we were with those elephants. It really wasn't too far from them. So, I don't know, it could have been something like that. But I think it's highly unlikely they would have barked at each other unless there was a major conflict perhaps between two bulls and they were a little bit worried about the consequences of something like that. I'm not sure. It's a good question though. Thank you, all the way from Botswana. Wonderful to have you with us. I wonder where, Angela, where in Botswana are you? I can't imagine you're in the Delta. You'd be looking for your own animals. The devastation of this dry season continues, and I don't mean the devastation in a negative way. I'm not sure you can say devastation in a particularly positive way, but if you just look around us, it's so open now. And although, as Brent said, some of the animals can be a little bit under pressure because of the drought, it does mean that when you're on walk you can see miles into the bush, which is very helpful if you're finding an animal that's under pressure. Not so, Brian? Yes. Let's see what we can find around the corner here. There's a nice big clearing. Perhaps some impalas will have come into the clearing. Oh, colour. Oh, Brian, you say is that the God's Window Valley that we were looking into there? I'm just trying to think how far to the west that... Yeah, we would have gone past it. We certainly, I think by the end of that pan we were too far south, and at the start we were too far north. It's in the middle of that. About in the middle of that you can see a kind of valley like that, and that is where the Blader River Canyon is, and just to the south of that position is where God's Window is. And God's Window, everybody, is the most unbelievable view. If you can come into this area, you'll go along and you can drive along the top of the mountains there, and you go and you walk to the edge of God's Window, and it really is, it's unbelievable. You can see all the way into Mozambique from up there. Right, Hayden is not going to make you seasick. He has a slightly more effective method of showing you the bats. Go and take a look.
Well, Hadeda Ibis. Correct, Chandre?
Yep.
That was Chandre was doing a bend over there to try and get that shot. That call is very, very distinctive, but we just thought we'd stop here because we talked about those three trees as we were driving past and just thought they look absolutely spectacular with that sky behind. It's too beautiful to go past. And you know what, we don't... sunsets, I mean, African sunsets are beautiful every day, but you get some that with cloud always gives you this incredible intensity and change of light and reflection, and it's just magic, isn't it? And I just thought while we're here we might have a little listen to some bats if there's any around. Now I found, I won't turn it on right away, but I found, I do apologise, I haven't done my research on my African or Southern African bats, because I wasn't expecting to bring this little bat detector with me, and I just grabbed it and I thought I'll just test it out there. I actually didn't know if there would be any bats active at this time of the year here, but it's so mild, and that has actually happened in Australia, and it does happen sometimes in the United Kingdom when we're around there. If it's a mild winter, they will actually stay out longer before they go into either a dormant period through the winter. So we just thought we'd bring it out, but I found this little chart on the internet about South African call parameters of some Southern African bats, and it gives you the durations in milliseconds and the range in kilohertz and the dominant frequency, which is the one that we're after. We're really after that dominant frequency. And you know what? It's a little bit of guesswork unless you're a super bat expert, which I'm not. I find it as a hobby. I love it. It's a good bit of fun. It's great with kids. But it also teaches you that bats are really, really important. Microbats are nocturnal, and they rely on their echolocation and to a lesser extent their eyesight to find their way and locate insects at night. So it's really, really important that we know that it's not just the big things, as we always say, it's the little things as well. So what Jandre and I are doing at the moment is looking for one right there. Isn't that great? Now that's quite a low frequency there, and I'm actually well tracked, Jandre. Look at that, flying through the sky. I'll get him when he comes back around to me, but I'll just turn that down a little bit. He's coming back around. The frequencies, the ones that I'm looking at, I'll just show you quickly. I'll just pull this up while Jandre's tracking that and get it up here for you. There's all these different species. That's amazing tracking, Jandre. That is not easy, folks, what Jandre's doing there, right? Tracking a microbat through the sky. Wow. Isn't he beautiful? Using his echolocation to hunt, and that is a really beautiful thing. Echolocation is the technique that they use for bats to see their way through their environment, basically. So, as Jandre's tracking that little bat, he is hunting and using a pulse of really, really high frequency, high-pitched sounds, which are normally frequencies well beyond. And look, that's great, Jandre. That's really great to show everyone. You can see how he's dodging and darting through the sky there. Absolutely beautiful. Now, there are a range of frequencies that are well beyond the frequencies that humans can hear. So it's one of those things that we have to. Some bright spark came up with this idea to create a bat detector, and we're just going to watch this little guy because he's quite a ways away from us. But when he comes closer, I'll grab it, and you can hear. Oh, there's a couple of little ones, maybe coming around. Beautiful. So the noise, the actual frequency is emitted from their nostrils and their mouth, and it comes back to their ears, and it basically gives them a soundscape of what's going on. And when they get that information back into their ears, there he is. So I'm going to just pop it up to one of the ones that I think it could potentially be. What we've got here, a list of bats. I'm not sure which ones actually occur here, and I do apologise. I will do more research next time. But we have horseshoe bats here. We also have free-tailed bats here, and tomb bats, I think, as well. I can't see any on this particular list. This is not extensive by any realm of the imagination, but it's got a scientific name, and it's also got a bit of other information. So I won't bore you with that, but let's have a listen, and I'll put it on a frequency that I think we might pick one up, which is a pretty common frequency. It's about 45 kilohertz. Lots of these little guys. They're not just quite close enough. We got one before. Bear with us, folks. Just look at the sky, enjoy the bats, whilst I Oh yeah. Just not coming close to us enough. Shall I move up a bit on Gendre? They seem to be more active just there. Folks, I'm just going to move up around that tree because they seem to be more active just around that tree just there and above that water. Now, I'm sure a bat expert, if a bat expert is listening, that particular species is hanging around that little water point, Viatella pan there, and that could be a characteristic of the bat, that it hunts over water. Some species do, or they'll be looking to try and hunt insects around that area. So let's just stop a little bit further up and we might get some really cracking sounds here. It's quite fun, and I have to say it's fantastic to do with kids. We got a question from Julia Smith here. Do bats eat on the wing or do they have to land? They do eat on the wing. Oh, this is good. Julia, I'm coming back to you, I promise. Oh, how cool. We have got so many here. Isn't that brilliant? Oh, listen to all the difference. So that is the echolocation. Julia, I'm coming back to you, I promise. Isn't that just fantastic? So those little... It looks like there's two different species here actually. That's a much smaller bat. Did you see that? That was really interesting. Did you hear when it does that little... That one there, that Gendre's on, over the water point, when it catches something it does a really great series of really quick ones. Oh, it's absolute bat heaven here tonight, folks. We've got about 15 of these little guys out. Whoa! Julia, to answer Julia's... Julia, I do apologise, I just got so sidetracked. Fantastic. One just swooped over the car as well. Julia, do apologise for that. I just got overwhelmed by this incredible bat frenzy. So they do eat on the wing. Some species that can catch much bigger prey will attach themselves to a tree or something and devour their meal. But most of them do eat on the wing, and some species have been thought to eat potentially like 8,000 small insects a night in one sitting. That's pretty incredible, and they are incredibly important animals in our ecosystem. So it's a bit of fun. Well, folks, I'm going to sign off, and I just want to make it really quick because I can talk. I've got a lot of just lovely comments coming through from Final Control saying people are giving me their best wishes and thank you for coming back. Look, folks, you don't have to thank me for coming back. It's an absolute pleasure. I can do this. I just love doing this. So I hopefully will be back again sometimes in the future. Who knows when that might be. But the best thing that I can say to you is that I just want to take my hat off to the Safari Live team, an incredible group of people. Absolutely amazing to work with, and I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, this team that we've got here is like no one else I've ever worked with anywhere on the planet in TV. It is the most incredible thing to work with these guys. The wildlife, of course it's beautiful. The location, South Africa, I love you. It is absolutely amazing. But this team on Safari Live is rock and roll. It's unbelievable. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the school shows as well. Hopefully we've changed a lot of students' directions or given them a really great injection of enthusiasm and optimism about the planet. Without further ado, I'm going to hand back to James to do a magnificent closing with this sunset. It's been an absolute pleasure, folks. Thank you for having me. Thank you for putting up with me, my mistakes, my forgetfulness, and yeah, you never know what's around the next corner. We'll see you soon.
It has just been so wonderful for two reasons, this drive. Well, I mean, I'm now getting tongue-tied. We've had an unbelievable sighting of the young bull on the far left-hand side of where you were. If you look down here, Brian will just show you how close that animal was. That is a meter away. He sat and he ate that branch a meter away. If I open the... I'm not going to. I could open the door and retrieve it. That's how close he was. He just sat there. He didn't even pay any attention. He just looked at us. Now, it is, of course, World Elephant Day tomorrow. And somewhere in the world, it's probably World Elephant Day today. Possibly we had a comment from Adelaide today on our Facebook Live broadcast. And definitely in Fiji, I'm sure it's tomorrow. So at least you've had all the elephants for this. For the start of World Elephant Day. Brian and I are terrified that after all the Elephants Day, we're not going to have any tomorrow on World Elephant Day. A reminder to you that we're going to stick with these times, 6 to 9 in the mornings. And because that's, we've shifted for these school drives with Hayden, and I think it works quite nicely, so that's what we're going to do. Well, everyone thinks it works quite nicely, not just me. Steve Foster, you're a new viewer. Thank you for watching us. And you say, are we in the Kruger? We most certainly are in the Kruger. We're on the Western Fringes, the Sabi Sand, a collection of private game reserves, and the little one we're on now is called Djuma. And that's a little herd of elephants. I'm not going to put a light on them. You can see it's got quite dark there. There they are. And we've just got a minute left, so while Brian tries to find the elephants for the last time, I just want to say a huge thank you to Hayden Turner for coming all the way from Sydney, Australia to see us. It's been wonderful to have him with us, and we wish him bon voyage tomorrow. I think he's going back to Namibia to guide a safari, and then back home to his wee boy and his wife, Nina and Jack. And we're hoping that they will come and see us again sometime soon. I hope they're watching. Nina and Jack, thanks for lending Hayden to us and send him back here again, please. Thank you, Brian, for your efforts today. Very nice, beautiful Olympic thumb that you had there. Huge thanks to Rebecca and Geraldine in the final control. And, of course, to all of you for joining us. It's been a wonderful, chatty afternoon, so thank you for that. We'll see you tomorrow, 6 o'clock on World Elephant Day. Bye-bye.